Welcome back to Creepy Whisper. Tonight's story is about a young woman who thought she had found the perfect home until she realized she wasn't living in it alone. What started as small, unexplainable moments soon spiraled into a nightmare she could never forget. This is the demon in the new house. Anna had never thought she'd be able to afford her own home so early in life. At 28, after years of saving and working long hours at her graphic design job, she'd finally done it. A small but charming two-story house on the edge of a quiet town. The kind of place where the air smelled faintly of pine, where you could hear the rustle of leaves instead of constant traffic. She moved in on a crisp autumn morning. The previous owner, an older man, had been polite but strangely distant during the transaction, avoiding her eyes, answering questions in short sentences. She chalked it up to his personality, but something about the way he handed her the keys stuck with her. His fingers lingered just a moment too long, and his last words were, "Be careful at night." At first, she thought it was some awkward attempt at humor. She laughed it off, loaded the moving truck, and by afternoon, the house was hers. The interior had that slightly stale smell that comes from being unoccupied for a while, but sunlight poured in through the windows, warming the wooden floors. In the kitchen, she noticed the faint outline of a cross on the wall where something had once hung. She didn't think much of it. That first night, Anna was too exhausted to do more than set up her bed. She left unpacked boxes stacked in the living room, made a quick sandwich, and collapsed into sleep. Around 3 a.m., she woke up to the faint sound of movement. Not footsteps exactly, more like fabric sliding against the floor upstairs. She told herself it was just the house settling, maybe the wind outside. Still, she found herself listening far too long before finally falling back asleep. The next morning, she decided to explore the second floor properly. There were 2 bedrooms, hers and a smaller one that felt strangely colder. No matter how wide she opened the curtains, the light in that room seemed muted. In the far corner, there was a narrow door leading to an attic. The doorknob was unusually cold, almost painful to touch, like it had been sitting in ice. She didn't go in. Not yet. That night, she heard the sound again, closer this time, like slow, dragging footsteps in the hallway. When she finally gathered the courage to open her door, the hallway was empty. By the 4th day, little things began happening. A coffee mug she was certain she'd left in the sink appeared back in the cupboard. Her phone charger went missing, only to turn up in the cold bedroom upstairs. Once, she thought she saw movement in the corner of her vision, a dark, human-shaped shadow that disappeared the instant she turned her head. One evening, while unpacking in the living room, she heard what sounded like a soft whisper coming from the second floor. It was faint, almost like someone saying her name. She froze, heart hammering in her chest. The house fell silent again, but from then on, she couldn't shake the feeling she was being watched. It was the 6th night when things escalated. She had been reading in bed when the floorboards in the hallway began to creak, slow, deliberate steps moving toward her door. The sound stopped right outside. Anna's breath caught. Her bedroom door, which she had locked, began to rattle gently. Not a forceful shake, just a slow, deliberate turn of the knob, back and forth, as though someone was testing it. She didn't move, didn't breathe. After what felt like hours, the noise stopped. But when she finally looked toward the bottom of the door, she saw it, 2 black shadows where feet should have been, just standing there. And then they slid away without a sound. The next morning, Anna decided to check the attic. She told herself it was just to get it over with, but part of her already knew she'd find something wrong there. The air grew colder with each step up the narrow stairs. The attic itself was empty except for an old wooden trunk pushed against the far wall. It was covered in deep scratches, long, uneven marks like something had clawed at it from the inside. When she leaned down to inspect it, the faint smell of sulfur hit her. She backed away immediately and left the attic door open behind her, too afraid to touch it again. 2 nights later, Anna woke to the sound of heavy breathing in her room. Not hers. She could feel it, hot, damp air brushing against her ear. Slowly, She turned her head toward the left side of the bed and found herself staring into nothing but darkness. And then, from that darkness, two glowing, yellow eyes blinked open. Her body froze. She couldn't scream, couldn't even move. The eyes inched closer until they hovered just inches from her face. A deep, guttural voice whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Her lamp shattered without being touched. The room plunged into blackness. When she scrambled to turn on her phone light, the room was empty again. That weekend, Anna made the decision to leave. She started packing at night, desperate to get out as soon as possible. But as she carried the last box to her car, she heard it. Heavy footsteps pounding down the stairs toward her. She turned, and there it was. A towering figure, skin stretched thin over bones, its mouth unnaturally wide, filled with jagged teeth. Its eyes burned with that same yellow glow. It didn't walk. It lurched, its limbs moving wrong, too fast, like something mimicking human movement, but not quite understanding it. Anna bolted for the door, feeling its breath on her neck as she fumbled with the handle. She didn't look back until she was in her car, engine roaring. The last thing she saw, through the rain-smeared windshield, was the demon standing in the doorway of her new home, watching her drive away. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Creepy Whisper for more true and fictional horror stories that will keep you up at night. And remember, some houses don't want to be lived in.